Somebody fill in for me.
I'm doing the yoga.
All right, welcome guys. Those of you who've been around here a few times, you may have seen this dance. It is not new. Every once in a while, Joe surprises us and asks us to do a group dance, which is always exciting. So hopefully he comes back here. I am sharing this to Facebook right now. So when you guys hop on, say hello. Many of you are on here each week, and we so appreciate you guys. Today's going to be a really, really, really fun webinar. So we have the Barton Publishing team here, well, most of us. We're going to share a little bit with you about how we are doing low-carb fat loss, or some of us aren't doing low-carb, we're eating other ways. We wanted to step in your shoes and try to be eating healthy and taking care of ourselves and making sure that we're doing everything that we can to prevent type 2 diabetes or fix our blood sugars. So that's where we're at. I need to share this. So I think Joe's back.
They didn't see my dancing there, did they?
Sort of.
Going through, like doing some, here we could do this. So I put an escalator in my office the other day. And an elevator. Okay, that's enough of that. Whew, I'm winded. All right, guys. I got to catch my breath now. Just, doing a little yoga here as you were introducing. Welcome, everybody. Okay.
Yep. Shout out to Patrick in Washington who just said hello to us.
Yes.
Oh, Patrick. Hi, Patrick.
Welcome to the Why did I do that? Welcome to the diabetes.
Take it away.
Webinar. And so yes, I'm Joe Barton, and you're seeing most of the team members of Barton Publishing, and we're in the middle of a 30-day health challenge. And like Leslie said, we're basically trying to practice what we preach and live by the 20 grams of carbohydrate limit in phase 1 of the Diabetes Solution Kit. So we're going to talk about our experience with that, and we're going to talk about our successes, and we're going to ask Dr. Saunders to help us in some of the ways we've gotten stuck. So, Dr. Saunders,
this is a really powerful thing. And there was a story of Mahatma Gandhi, who a mom came to him with her son and said, he keeps eating candy. He won't eat good food. He's just eating candy. And because he respects you, I want you to tell him to stop eating candy. And Gandhi said, come back in 2 weeks. So she did. She brought him back in 2 weeks, and he said, young man, don't eat candy. And the young man said, okay. And so the mom was puzzled. Why did we have to go 2 weeks for you just to say? He said, because I was eating candy. And I couldn't very well tell him not to eat candy if I was eating candy. So I had to go off the candy, and I went off for 2 weeks so that when he came in, I could tell him for sure, go off the candy. And I wasn't being a hypocrite. So I think that's very powerful. And I've thought of that a lot. And pretty much everything I've recommended for my patients, I've tried. I have had patients come in and say, I want to do a 30-day water fast, and I've never done that, but I go, okay, if you want to, that's fine. I've done 7 days of water fast, but I've never done 30 days, and I've had patients, I've had 2 patients do it. So, but everything else, and the hardest thing I had was somebody came up with the Wim Hof method. And that's coldness, and I hate coldness. I just hate it. So he says, okay, and I think you really should do this. So I had to do it, and it was the middle of winter. I have a swimming pool that I'm sure was under 50 degrees that I would jump in every morning and take my cold showers, and I did it. And so I think that's a powerful thing, that we do anything that we would recommend.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Leslie, can everybody see all of us at the same time? Do you know, or is that a setting that you can change at all?
Yeah. Well, you just push the plus on your Zoom button. There's a little plus by the, and
yeah, I wonder if that's broadcast.
You click on that and you can see everyone.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if our viewers see that as well. So I think it'd be kind of fun to see. We kind of look like the Brady Bunch. If you guys used to watch that, we just need one more person to hop in there. Hey, Eric.
Yeah, totally.
So
I'm not exactly sure, but I will check and see.
okay, it might show. However, it's showing up on Facebook or something. So
On Facebook, it's only going to show whoever's talking.
yeah, okay.
So if you're not talking, in fact, if you want to mute yourself, panelists, just so that if you laugh or make any noises, it doesn't quick flash to you, which is what happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a little housekeeping here. If you're joining us and wondering what the heck is going on, so regularly every Tuesday at noon Central, we have the diabetes blood sugar webinar with Dr. Saunders, and he is our medical advisor here at Barton Publishing, and we've been doing this for getting close to a year now, every week, and we like to answer people's questions, specifically people that have questions about the Diabetes Solution Kit. This is the workbook that we sell on our different websites that talks about the plan to reverse type 2 diabetes using phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 is low carb eating and basically 20 grams of carbs per day. We've got recipes in here. And then another thing we'll talk about later is that these recipes are going to be improved soon. We've already got them. They're just going to the printers. So if you're curious about who we are and stuff, you can go to the website bartonwebinar.com and you can sign up to watch our weekly webinars and to find our YouTube channel and watch archive recordings that we have. Dr. Saunders has covered all sorts of topics related to type 2 diabetes, metformin, insulin, diet, nutrition, and fasting, and everything in between. So we also like to give time every week to answer your questions. And so if you're with us live, you can hop on the chat or put in the Q&A, type your questions in, and we'll get to those towards the end of our call. So now I think I want to transition and have our team just say a little bit about, say hello, who they introduce themselves, say who they are, what they do for us, and tell them a little bit about their last 2 weeks of this journey of our 30-day health challenge. And I'm going to nominate our COO, Kevin. So you can go first.
All right. I had a feeling somehow that I was going to be first, but thank you. So I'm Kevin and Chief Operating Officer here at Barton Publishing. So handle a lot of the customer support and also fulfillment stuff, a little bit of everything, a little marketing. I wear many hats and love it. So talking about the last couple of weeks, it's pretty interesting for me. You know, I'm getting pretty close to the big 5-0, and my wife just hit 5-0. And so, you know, you kind of, when you get to those different new decades, you start thinking about your health, especially, right, and your life. And, you know, I've gone through different seasons of kind of up and down, yo-yo dieting sort of thing. And it seems like, I don't know why, when COVID hit, my weight just started climbing, all by itself. I don't know what was going on, but it's interesting because I work from home already. So it wasn't like now I'm home, I'm near the kitchen, I'm going to eat more. But I did just start eating more, I realized. And so really excited when Joe kind of presented this challenge to us. I think every once in a while we just kind of need that challenge, something to kind of incentivize us to make the positive changes. And I think the biggest thing that jumped out to me right away was that effort leads to reward. And right away, as soon as I started just kind of changing those, making little habit changes, I noticed immediately the change and the difference. And I'm like, why was I not doing that before? You know, it's interesting how our habits just kind of get out of whack and we stop doing the things that we really desire to do, but they require a little bit of effort. And so that's kind of been the biggest thing for me.
Awesome. Can you see my dog right there? He's
just the shadow.
He's outside my doors trying to get my attention. He nudges on the door there. Hi, Gus. I'm on a call. I'll be there in a minute. All right. All right, Nick, you're next. I love how this Brady Bunch panel here. Like, I think I am. Let's see. I think I would be. What's his name? The dad, Mr. Brady. I think Alice was in the middle. So Nick, you're Alice, and then we got the boys on the left, and I don't remember the order, but that was one of my favorite shows as a kid. All right, Nick. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Nick Thomas, and I am the Chief Financial Officer. So I help maintain the finances here at Barton Publishing. I do a little bit with our human resources, and like Kevin said, it's a smaller company, so we all wear a little more than one hat from time to time. So I'm our in-house data nerd, deemed that by our leader Joe. And probably everybody else would agree with that too. So those are all titles that I'm really happy to carry and just glad to be a part of this team. Leading by example, that's what Joe does every day. And I'm just really excited for this challenge. A little bit about me, you can't tell this from where I'm sitting, but I'm 6'2", and when I started this challenge, I was 178.8 pounds. And as of this morning, I weighed 171.6 pounds. So I'm down 7 pounds since we started this. And I really wasn't looking to lose a lot of weight. I don't think that I necessarily needed to, but I wanted to practice what we preach. And I was just really excited. Plus, if anybody knows me, I am a very competitive person. So it's a challenge. I'm happy to report that I'm rising to the challenge, I think. So.
Yeah, you might be called the data nerd, but you're also the adrenaline junkie, as you can see with the waves of surf behind you there.
That's right. That's right. What have I done? So basically, I've cut out all meat. I am a cheese fanatic, so I had to stick with the dairy. But other than that, I'm basically, in the last 2 weeks, I've been doing just vegetarian diet. All vegetables, salads. I do have some hard-boiled eggs in the morning for breakfast time, and then cheese and lots of cheese. I just can't stop the dairy part of it. It's part of who I am, I feel. But it doesn't seem to have hindered much of my success. Every day, so I have 4 small children at home too, and a lot of them are involved in sports. And one of them is training for cross country right now. So I've started running with her in the mornings. And then my wife and I have done walks over our lunch hour whenever it's at all possible. So in the evenings, then I'll usually do another run or a bike ride, depending on who's around to kind of keep me motivated and go out with them. My family is away this week, so I've been doing bike rides each evening this week. So
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty active family, in general, and just like Kevin said, staying focused and doing it intentionally was a little bit of a change for me. For an example, in the mornings, it's sort of more regimented. So it all appears to be having an impact on the challenge at hand. So
yeah, and one note for our viewers, nobody on our team that I'm aware of anyways has full-blown type 2 diabetes or anything. And so most of us are pretty good shape and stuff. And so I don't even know if, I check my blood sugars because it's interesting to me and I want to know what food does to my blood sugars and stuff, and to relate to our customers as well. So we're not all doing, the 20 grams or less phase 1 program, but we are doing something just to improve our health, drop some body fat and different things. So again, I guess this is a good time for our disclaimer that this is really for informational purposes only. And so any health changes you make should be done with on your own with your own health practitioner as well. So Dr. Saunders is our medical advisor, but he again isn't anyone specific doctor that's watching this. He gives general information for health and all that. So and I was going to say too, I do have borderline pre-diabetes. My blood sugars will sometimes creep up into the 110, 115 levels. And I don't know why my morning blood sugars are higher than my afternoon and evening blood sugars. That might be a question for Dr. Saunders, but I'm usually into the 90s by, the end of the day or whatever. So that's interesting. So Scott, what do you think of that?
Well, there's a really good reason for that, and that is when your blood sugar starts dropping low, when the insulin starts going down, you release a different hormone from the pancreas called glucagon, and glucagon tells your liver, hey, make more sugar. And either it's going to make it out of glycogen that you stored, sugar that you've stored in the liver, or it's going to take your protein and start making sugar out of that. And so so your blood sugar can actually go up overnight, even though you're fasting. And you go, what the heck? I haven't eaten anything. My blood sugar is higher. That's okay. It's okay, because glucagon is actually a good thing, because it also tells your body to start using fat for energy, whereas insulin blocks you from using fat for energy. Glucagon helps you to use fat for energy. So, so in that case, that would be the one case where you'd say high blood sugar is a good thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I check my ketones every once in a while, and I know that you don't usually produce ketones if you're not burning fat. So I'm usually at like a 1.1 or 1.2, whatever number that is on my ketone monitor as well. So I think combined, then I'm probably doing okay.
Yeah, the ketones, if you have any ketones, it means you're burning fat for energy. So there's no way you could get ketones without burning fat. So either you're eating the fat and burning it, but people eat coconut oil to make ketones. Well, or in these days, you can actually buy ketones and drink ketone drinks that people are making, which I think is ridiculous. So if any of you are thinking of that, it's so much better for you to burn your own fat, make your own ketones. Don't take somebody else's ketones.
Yeah. Amen. All right, Cheryl, you're next. I think you might get the designation as the second daughter, Jan, on the Brady Bunch here.
All right. She's jealous of the older daughter, right?
No, yeah, you look just like Jan too.
Oh, do I? Well, I want to say we all saw each other about 2 weeks ago, and so we've almost been on, well, maybe 3, but we've been on, most of us have been on this for 2 weeks, and I can see that everyone already looks thinner in the face. So just in 2 weeks, people are starting, I see differences. So I originally didn't want to do 20 carbs, but my first day I did a protein shake with coconut oil and berries, and I bloated the next day and almost gained 5 pounds of bloated water weight. So I thought this was going to be a good challenge for me to decide which foods are actually causing bloat and keeping my carbs down to 20. And most days I'm in the 20 range, so I'm happy about that. And I've still bloated some, and my weight has gone very fluctuated. But as of today, I'm down 6 pounds. So,
All right, way to go.
Yeah, and I'm working out a little more than I was, a little more consistent, which is probably helpful as well.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thanks, Cheryl. Did you say what you do for us and all that?
Oh, no, I didn't. So I'm working with customer service and also with Home Cures at Work. And I'll put a plug in here. If you like Dr. Saunders and have any questions, go to homecuresthatwork.com, because he has articles worth almost over 10 years, and he's written about a lot of topics, and we've had issues dedicated to different topics. So go there and search for your answers as well.
Yes, that's one of our sneaky little known resources that has a ton of information about all sorts of stuff. So that's great. All right, let's go back up to the upper left here. We've got one screen that's like one of these kids is doing their own thing. We got 2 people in one here with Leslie and Tyler. Tell us about yourself.
Well, you guys know me. I've been on the webinar, every week. But what you probably don't know is that my husband works for Barton Publishing as well. So here is Tyler.
Yes, Tyler Prins. This is my lovely wife. You see her all the time. You've never seen me on here before. Have I been on here before?
I don't think so.
I don't think. This might be my first time. So I am the affiliate manager at Barton Publishing. Been with Barton Publishing for a little while. We've actually been our family has been a part of the Barton Publishing family for a very, very long time, whether it was my wife or I, and we love it. So
wait a minute. Aren't you the guy that served me that plant-based sugar or plant-based milk?
Maybe have you
sugar?
I forgot about that. You may have seen me on your computer at some point in some sort of commercial, if you will.
Yes.
Maybe on Facebook.
Maybe on Facebook, all over the place. Billions of views. Okay, that's maybe pushing it a little bit.
Well, for sure millions, but
There
yeah.
you go, millions of times. So I would be one of the people that like definitely was needing the kickstart. That was me. I think Nick was the one that said that. You know, we're all trying to live a healthier lifestyle, and you know, but the brownie, fudge, M&Ms, and Doritos, they're my downfall. You know, they've saved lives before, but not very often. So in my case, I needed to cut out some of the snacks, especially working from home. Just sitting by your computer, you know, it's you know, you always have something sitting there. And for me, I just needed that kickstart. I was probably kind of in Nick's position. I wasn't really looking to lose much weight, but just, you know, not realizing that all the choices that I had been making, you know, everybody's got a little bit extra. But for me, the biggest piece was I know the healthier that I eat, the more stable my energy is and the longer my energy is. And I finally, we're on day 15 and I feel like I broke through a little bit. I mean, it was like 10:45, almost 11 o'clock last night, and I still felt, I would say almost 100%. I didn't feel exhausted. My brain wasn't tired. And that's a huge win for me because I know for me, the healthier I am, the better I feel. And that was a big piece for me. The other piece is brain health for me. That cloudiness that I'll tend to get when I'm eating snacks mid-afternoon and you think you need a nap at 3, like that's my number. If I try not to look at the clock, but if I see it's 3, I know like I'm going down, get ready. I got about 30 minutes here. And that's something that's not happening, which is huge for me. So I feel fantastic. The big thing I'm doing is more trying to stop eating by about 6 p.m. And now I wait as long as I can in the morning to eat. So I'm doing some intermittent fasting. So today it's, I don't know what time at our house here, 12:30. I haven't eaten yet today, but I also am not hungry like I was the first week. And that's been big. And then as few carbs as possible for me. Really as little as I can eat. And I know that'll help make me feel better. And that's been big for me. So the combination of those two things has been my recipe for hopefully success. And I think I'm down, it's about 7 right now. I gained a pound back. So,
but you also weighed yourself with all your clothes on with baggy pants and
right. To tell myself that I'm not doing as well, that I got to do better.
I'm coming for you, Tyler. That's
Trick
any
my brain.
motivation.
So that's me.
Awesome.
So on our last trip together with the Barton Publishing team, I may have mentioned to Joe that we should do a fat loss challenge. So
yes, you
he
did.
still hasn't forgiven me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
We actually did this years ago and it was a lot of fun and we learned a lot about ourselves. But as I think, you know, a couple people had mentioned, over time, you kind of start to let some things go. And I'm somebody who definitely needs a community when it comes to things like this. I like to bounce ideas off people. We had mentioned on our last webinar that we were redoing some of the recipes in our diabetes solution kit. And so even coming up with those recipes gave me some excitement about, oh yeah, there are a lot of really good foods that you can make that are good for you. Who knew, right? So I have just gained weight over the past probably year and a half. And so that was kind of my motivation, was just to lose some weight. I have tried before, but I just didn't have the motivation. So seeing all these guys' faces kind of pushed me. And I've basically been doing low carb, but when I started the first few days, I didn't make any special meals or plan a whole lot. I used what we had at home. So I'm eating a little bit more dairy than I normally would, just because we've been busy, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I know that if I don't eat right now, I'm going to crash. And so it'll be like, okay, here's a cheese stick, or, you know, I'm just kind of playing with that. The kids had some pasta stuff. And so I made the sauce homemade. We had that with some like ground beef and, you know, it wasn't a special recipe, but I knew it was low carb and it was what we had. And so we did that for the first few days. Now we're kind of just in a routine. We made some really good like chicken with cream cheese and spinach last night.
It was ridiculously good. I have no idea what it was, but it was amazing.
He's very easy to please. Luckily, he likes food. So.
Well, he hasn't eaten for 4 days, so anything.
That makes it easy.
We haven't been doing anything crazy. I would say I personally have just been really more aware of food. And I'll even catch myself thinking, oh my gosh, like I saw these snacks over there. Normally I would have just eaten them and not even thought about it. So there's definitely some mental stuff that we're getting to deal with, but it's been good. I'm down about 7 pounds. Um, and yeah, it feels good.
Together, we've lost a small child.
Yeah.
A
Good.
newborn baby.
Well, not a 14 pounder. No.
That'd be big.
Hey,
Yeah.
Leslie.
Yeah.
So you mentioned recipes, and I think
Yeah.
this is probably a good time to bring up that the reason why she brought that up is when we were together on a retreat. We've gotten feedback over the years on the diabetes solution kit. We've made constant changes to it, always improving it and updating it. And one of the pieces of feedback we've heard is that maybe the recipes don't always connect with people, and then maybe more for breakfast, that kind of thing. And so we said, well, let's revisit this and let's come up with some really great recipes. Number one, that are a little bit lower carb, because some of you that are in phase 1, you asked for more recipes that are kind of easier to hit that 20 grams and to stay under it. And so we as a team came together, and we're working on that right now. We've got a whole new slew of recipes. And if you've purchased the diabetes solution kit before, you get all of the digital updates. And so anytime you log into your account, if we've made an update, it will be there for you. So that'll be coming, I imagine, probably in the next, would you say 30 days or so, that we'll have the new digital version up there with new recipes. So keep an eye out for it. If you don't have the diabetes solution kit, now's a great time to jump in.
Hey, I put in my recipe for ceviche, which I love, and this is real ceviche.
Nice. I am definitely going to try that. I love ceviche. It's very good stuff.
And that's something to think about too. Tyler and I went out to eat, and there are lots of options for eating out. I mean, I had ceviche actually at a Mexican restaurant that we went to the other day. It was so good. So I'm super glad you did that. Look, if you haven't joined the 610 Reset group, which most of you have, but it's on Facebook. 610 Reset is a private group, so I will have to approve that. But I did post a couple of recipes in there for you guys to try, and we're gonna post some more in there because we want your feedback on those.
Yes. So ceviche, that's like fish cooked in vinegar or something, isn't it?
No, it's in lime juice. So
Lime
just get
juice.
half a cup of lime juice, and you put, well, I prefer it with some fish and then shrimp and that imitation crab. It's so good.
You don't advise using your pet goldfish then, right? Keep them in.
Hey, you know what? That works.
All
Just
right.
take the roe out first.
Yes. Well, speaking of, you take the what out?
The roe.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of row, we got the bottom row we got to go through on the Barton team here. Great transition. We planned that ahead of time, didn't we, Scott?
Cindy.
Shmuel, you get to be Cindy. No, I think you're Bobby. You're Bobby of the Brady Bunch down there. So,
Bobby,
who are you and what are you doing?
So I'm Shmuel. Pleasure to be here with you all. And I work with Kevin. Kevin said he wears lots of hats. And one of the things he said he does is marketing, and I assist him with those efforts. I've been with the Barton team like around a year and a half now, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with everyone here. And for me, this weight challenge the last few weeks has been a blessing of fresh air for me, because it's really motivated me. That team spirit, camaraderie, checking everyone's stats and updates, what people have to say, has been really inspiring and encouraging for me. And it's really led me to be more active. I try to get out, try to start running, try to go walking in the evenings. And then when it comes to food, it's just, for me, it's being more intent and using my mind to tell me when I've eaten enough, and not going for that second helping, which is something that I've often fallen victim to. And I've been doing like a lot of different things. Nothing set in stone. Just trying to be mindful and so I start the morning off with a cup of black coffee, nothing else in it. And then just try to have, you know, a little yogurt like towards the end of the morning, like around 11 o'clock, with some flax seeds. And then, you know, try to have a later lunch. So once I have the later lunch, when dinner time rolls around, I'm not really that hungry, and that kind of helps me, because personally, like, that's always been like my Achilles heel, sometimes like in the evenings and then also in the weekends. Those are the things that kind of get me. And just this past 2 weeks, I've really thought, you know, and really used my mind over my stomach. So it's been a big help. Yeah, and I'm down like 3.5 pounds. It's coming off slowly but steadily. This week has been a good week. You know, and next week, hopefully sometime next week, I'll hit my goal.
Awesome. Thanks, Shmuel. All right. And Shmuel is in Israel, so it's later in the evening for you there, I believe.
Yeah, it's around 8:30 here. So
awesome. Yeah, we're hoping that we can come over and visit you as a team sometime. Have a team trip over there. Do a little tour of the Holy Land together. Eat some really good food and meet you and your family in person. So
yeah, that would be amazing.
yeah. All right, Eric in Minnesota.
Well, hello everybody. Yeah, I work with Kevin a lot too. Him and I are a good team. But I'm the web geek. I was coined that by Joe.
You're welcome.
The web guy, web developer, build a lot of websites and pages and update things, and so that's my main job here at Barton Publishing. And in terms of this whole thing that we're doing, weight loss stuff, I don't necessarily need to lose a lot of weight, but I thought it was a good challenge to try and lose some weight. My wife's been on keto for a long time. She's been doing that pretty much for like a year maybe. So I've already been eating. She makes all the meals, so I kind of grandfathered into like eating healthier over the last year, you know, because that's what she makes.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, apart from this whole thing, like a year ago, I was a lot heavier than I was now. Even I think I had lost like 10 pounds from like 2017, 2018, which was really good. And I've been exercising a lot more. I think that's the one thing that I really love. The competition side of it, you know, like Nick said, being competitive, getting outside, being more active. I got a new bike, so I've been riding bike a lot outside, you know, because I can do that now in Minnesota. It's not negative 40 degrees.
Yeah, natural Wim Hof method in Minnesota in the winters.
Yeah, it's literally always freezing cold here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't done anything like really strict in terms of like diet and things. We have 5 kids at home that are under 8 years of age, so it's hard to stay on a really strict schedule in our house in terms of like meals and planning everything, unless we really plan everything to a T, and then appointments and things like that go on. So trying to stick around that 50 carbs under that area for me per day, and that I think I've lost like 4 pounds. I may have gained a little bit over the weekend. I think I gained like 0.7 pounds over the weekend, you know, if my scale is accurate. So, but just continuing to work off of each other, that's been really helpful, like the competition. So I really enjoy hearing about everybody's successes and things. So yeah.
Hey, I just want to say really quick, you mentioned exercise, Eric, and how you've kind of gotten back into that. And I find that when I've stopped exercising and I start, like initially it's kind of hard, but then it seems like once I get into the groove, you know, I think they say that like serotonin and there's some like chemicals that fire the feel good chemicals once you've started working out a while. And I've noticed I'm kind of hitting that stride again where I'm like actually looking forward to getting on my bike or going for a walk or, you know, weight training or whatever. So just want to throw that in since you were talking about exercise in particular.
Yeah.
And aren't you and Kevin and Eric doing a challenge against each other? So that's further motivation.
Yeah, well, Eric uses this Apple
Kevin's
Watch.
beating me right now.
Yeah, so Apple products have that activity app on them. And so Eric was using it, and I've kind of gotten notifications, but I haven't always paid much attention to them. And when I found out that Eric was using that, and sometimes it's nice to have kind of that little, fitness watch or something like that. That's just kind of that extra, like, hey, don't forget to do this. And then the Apple products just happen to have like a little competition. And I was like, oh, let's do that this week just for fun,
Yeah.
So it's been inspiring for me for sure.
So you can see each other's steps or something? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
man.
It kind of updates if he goes cycling, as after he's finished with his cycling, like I get a little thing. Eric was just out cycling for, a couple miles. Like, oh man, I need to kick it in high gear here.
Wow, I could think of all sorts of ways to use that as motivation here. So we'll get people like with, Cheryl took 24,381 steps today. How about you? Like, oh man, they took 3,000. Man, I got to go for a walk run or something. So
Yeah.
So one of the important things that I see here is everybody has a different way of doing it. Each of us have a different way of doing it. And yet, every single one has reported improvement, whether it's, a 4-pound loss or a 10-pound loss, as far as just weight loss or exercise program or feeling better. Everybody reported improvement, even though we're all doing it differently. And that's one of the things that every time we do this program, we talk about, look, apply the different things that we talk about to yourself in the way that works best for you, because you have to find out what works best for you. It's not something that you have to do it this way and it applies the same to everybody. It's just, these are the principles, work them in however best you can or what works best.
yeah, that's right. Great point. Awesome. All right, and we've got one more person here on our team to complete the Brady Bunch 9 squares here. Tina, calling in from Austin, Texas, normally from South Dakota. Hello.
Hello, thanks for having me. This is fun. It's good to see everybody again as you're sharing. Yep, and the internet connection here may be a little off, so because you've been kind of going in and out, so I'll just keep talking. Yes, I'm at my daughter's and been doing the Peloton. I just sent my pictures in to our Slack account of, I've got the whole family on there. So Peloton, even though I'm traveling, got doing the exercising. It's only 102 here, so it's very easy to get outside and do some exercise. But we did take 2 walks. We took one yesterday, much shorter than the day before. I'll say that. It's quite warm. I am the newbie on the block, I guess you can say. Just started with Barton Publishing and absolutely love it. So if you are just now joining Barton Publishing, you will feel that same love that I have felt.
She's also a robot. You were wondering about her voice there.
There I go. I think I'm gone. Can you hear me?
You're a cyborg.
I just turned your video off for a second, so keep talking, but I think that'll help the connection.
Okay. Everybody's got my face. All right. So anyway, one thing that I have been doing is I've been watching my carbs for a really long time, not really understanding the 100% why until I watched the Dr. Saunders video 3 to 4 times. And I don't know how many times I have quoted the example, Dr. Scott, that you use with the cups of sugar. And how your cells fill up and then all that sugar flows right into your bloodstream and all of that. So we get a lot in customer service. That's where I'm at. Many emails saying the videos are very long, but what I say to everybody is watch them once, twice, 3 times. Put them on while you're cooking. Put them on while you're doing something else. Put them on in the background while you're working on the computer, just so you can actually, like, click in when he's saying something that, wait a minute, what did he just say? You know, that kind of thing. As far as my eating habits, I guess my biggest change would be I was eating low carbs, but I wasn't necessarily counting them. So I knew what I should and should not eat, but I wasn't keeping a numerical count of the 20. So now what I tend to do is I still have the same habit. I'll eat my favorite breakfast, and you guys on the Slack know this, is the pepper ring with the egg fried in it, and then I put other vegetables in that egg in a hole. And what I've also learned by what I eat is there are no such things as breakfast foods anymore, it seems. Yes, have eggs and bacon or sausage for your breakfast, but throw in that leftover chicken breast from last night or those leftover vegetables and make what frying pan or whoever calls what is it called, like a scramble or something. All they're doing is throwing their vegetables in there, you guys, and some extra meat. So do that at home and you have a most filling breakfast that will hold you until lunch. Now here's my key to get me through that little window between breakfast and lunch and dinner, because I found myself, if I was getting hungry, it was around 10 or so, or I would look at the clock, no lie, it would be 4 o'clock. And I'd be like, okay, I'm needing something. I found a 0 carb bread at a store. And so what I do is I toast that because it doesn't taste different that way. The texture's not different. I toast that and I put a tablespoon of peanut butter on it. So there I have the crunchy, I have the air quote, you can't see me, air quote, version of a bread, and I have peanut butter. And I promise you that holds me till I get dinner started. Yeah, so I have really enjoyed the challenge as well. It's kept me up on my exercise, I'll tell you that, because I don't want anybody on our little Slack page saying they're doing something and I'm not. That would crank up my competition. And just the counting, I think, and being even more aware so that secretly I can have more carbs maybe at dinner. So 0 it pretty much at breakfast. Lunch is usually a little like charcuterie board, like meats, cheeses, maybe a pickle, you know, some pickles or something. And then dinner, if I want to have a little bit of a carb, maybe I could have it then. I don't know. So that's me. So yeah, It's good to see you all, and it's good to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Tina. All right, well, we're gonna transition now to some Q&A. We've had quite a few questions come in, and so Dr. Saunders, we're gonna start rattling off some quick questions here for you. And so let's start with Tim. He mentioned, let's see, his question was about eating while traveling. Like, what do you recommend on how do you stay at 20 grams of carbs or less while traveling and eating out?
Well, you know, what's really interesting is what Leslie was just telling us, that eating out, there's a lot of choices. And when I do it, if I go into a restaurant, I look for choices. Like she was saying, she had ceviche because she looked at what was available. And ceviche is low carb. It has practically none. And among other things, you could have meat dishes, and be careful of gravies and sauces. Gravies and sauces almost always have a lot of sugar in them, especially barbecue sauce. You wouldn't believe barbecue sauce is like syrup. It has so much sugar in it. Ketchup, of course, a lot of sugar in it. And you got to be careful of like real mayonnaise doesn't, but if you use Miracle Whip or some other type of salad dressing, most of them are high in sugar. So be careful of sauces when you're eating out. And that's true with salad dressings too. So when you're eating out, get a salad. I used to just get, even if it wasn't on the menu, I'd ask them for some steamed vegetable, a steamed vegetable plate or something. And that was almost always available. If not, there's always some kind of salad. And if you're not sure about the dressing, put it on the side. And then just put vinegar and oil on, or ask them for some limes or lemons to squeeze on. Actually, it's really good. It's a great way to eat a salad. Just squeeze some lemon or lime on it and then salt it and some pepper. And the salad tastes great as long as you like the vegetables. That's the way we always did it in Venezuela too. So when you're eating out, look at what your options are, you know, on the menu and make choices. And, you know, if you're going to a fast food restaurant, ask for the low carb option. They're always going to have it. You know, In-N-Out Burgers, lettuce wraps, or McDonald's will do lettuce wraps. They all do that now. So you can make it work. It's not hard, but you do have to kind of go out of your way and think about it. That's the difference.
Yeah, good. All right, Krish, welcome, Krish. Good to see you again. Had a question about continuous glucose monitoring. Is that necessary for type 2 diabetics?
Oh, wow. I've seen those. That is so cool. They have these little buttons that they put under your skin, and the button transmits. And so then you take your glucose meter and you just wave it, put it near the button, and it'll record into the glucose meter, and it'll give you like continuous graph of what your blood sugar is doing constantly. It's an amazing machine, and I love them. I love it when my patients have them, because then I can see, okay, look, there's your spike. It's going and then spikes up. Okay, what happened here? You know, it's like very clear, and we can ask the question, okay, what happened? Oh yeah, that's when I ate something. And sometimes it's, I had one patient, she said that, you know, she hadn't eaten anything. It was just like stress. She had a lot of stress. So that something did happen. So those machines are great, but do you have to have them? No, you don't. If you're going to be on like a truly 20-gram carbohydrate diet, if you're checking once or twice a day, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, good. All right. Okay, Patrick, good to see you again, Patrick. Looks like you had a hospital stay, and glad to see you're home. Looks like you mentioned you had a mild stroke, so glad you're doing better. And he mentioned that the hospital they knew he was type 2, but they kept feeding him carbs because that's really all they had. And because of COVID, they had limited options and stuff like that. So his blood sugars were running around 260, but he's down about 24 pounds since home from the hospital. So that's pretty interesting. So great job there, Patrick. And his question is regarding Synachroma. So let's see, Synachroma is, this is our blood sugar support formula. And you can find that on Barton Webinar as well, bartonwebinar.com. So his question is, how long does it take to see blood sugar drop using that? He plateaued around 120 blood sugars, and he's eating minimally and trying to stay below 20 grams of carbs. So what's the time frame doing all that?
Okay. That's important because it depends on who's taking it and what their reasons for having a high blood sugar are. The purpose for Synachroma is to make you more sensitive to the insulin that you have. So people with low insulin, it might just help them to get a little bit better in their blood sugar. Other people who are like already taking metformin and that, they might see a drop quickly right away. So the best answer to that is it depends. And the purpose for the Synachroma is if there are any deficiencies like vitamin D, selenium, chromium, vanadium, which are very common deficiencies, especially in people who have blood sugar problems, to help the blood sugar mechanisms in the body to function better. So it allows you with your diet to bring down the blood sugar. So the blood sugar comes down with the diet. That's you know, hands down, that's what it is. The Synachroma is just to help it function properly so that it can be normal.
Awesome. All right. Okay, Sylvia, great question here about Metamucil, and I've seen this one come in quite a bit. So phase 1 allows 20 grams of carbs per day, and Metamucil has 23 carbs per serving. So should someone stop taking Metamucil while on phase 1?
Yeah, Metamucil is a psyllium seed extract or psyllium seed fiber, and that is actually really good. It's not a bad supplement at all. The problem with Metamucil is they put a lot of sugar in it. Like in one cup, there's like 2 full teaspoons of sugar in a cup of Metamucil. They have the low carb Metamucil, but still has sweeteners in it. If you get the plain psyllium seed that doesn't have any sweeteners in it, it doesn't taste very good. But you have to kind of put it in, stir it up, and drink it down really quickly, just to get it down. If you're going to use psyllium seed, that's a better way to do it. And you can get the plain that doesn't have any flavor and doesn't have any sugar in it, and that's the best way to do it, because then all the carbs are fiber carbs, and that doesn't count on your 20 grams.
Yeah. And what are some other ways to get good fiber without the sugar, other than, like a supplement like Metamucil? What are some good foods that you recommend for people?
Okay, the best thing is to live on fruit and vegetables. Vegetables and fruit all have fiber, and the more the better. And if you eat small amounts of meat, which don't contain a lot of fiber, and then avoid all of the things that are processed, which are going to be grains and high starch kinds of things that you want to avoid anyway. So adding in vegetables, anything green, leafy green vegetables, broccoli, asparagus, celery, all those things, very low carbohydrate, very high in fiber. And then you wouldn't need the psyllium seed extract if you just push the vegetables.
Cool. All right.
So I have a follow-up question. Why is it important to have fiber when you're trying to manage your blood sugar?
Oh, good thought. Okay, so there's more to blood sugar than just what you eat or how much sugar is in your food. So for example, if you take watermelon and ice cream, watermelon has a higher glycemic index than ice cream. And that's because ice cream has other things in it like fats and proteins that sort of mitigate that rapid rise in blood sugar. So watermelon is just like pure water and sugar. It's like drinking a soda kind of thing as far as your blood sugar goes. Whereas something like ice cream has a high glycemic load, there's a lot in it, but it's more gradually released. So the fiber does that. The fiber can mitigate the rapid rise in blood sugar for a lot of different foods. So even when you're eating something like a carrot, for example, carrots are pretty high in sugar. They actually have a lot of glucose in them, starches and sugar. But because it's so high in fiber, that slows down so you don't get a rapid rise and you don't get as much insulin resistance. Thank you, Cheryl. That's a great question.
All right, this next question is pretty fun. This is someone, didn't give their name, but they're from Nigeria. And they said most of the food that they're used to eating is not included in our list, like in our grocery list, which makes sense. We're, Americans, and so we don't have quite the same foods. I'm sure there's some that are in common, but so her question, his or her, I guess, I don't know if it's he or she. I don't know if our plantain or moi moi from black-eyed beans and brown beans, Gary, G-A-R-R-I, from cassava, are those good or are they full of carbs? And so, I guess the question I would say, anybody internationally with your foods, how do you know if something is high carb or not?
So generally root vegetables like cassava, beans are pretty high in carbohydrates as well. Moi moi, all those kinds of fruits, plantains are like a type of banana, and those are all starchy kinds of things. Yes, they are starchy. We don't have those kinds of things necessarily, but they are all fruit and root vegetables, which tend to have more starch. Cassava is pretty good as far as starch goes. It has more fiber in it, which, as we were just saying, sort of mitigates the amount of starch in it. As opposed to something like a potato, which is like mostly starch and a little bit of fiber. So while potatoes are off the list, So if you're from another country and you're looking up the foods, look up the foods and just look up the starch content, you know, and if you're eating, you know, 10 grams of plantain, then look at what's the starch content of this, the sugar content, and then you go by the same list. It doesn't really change. You're still going on the 20-gram carbohydrate, so you're still looking at the 20 grams, and you're just saying, but you're going to ask different questions because you're going to have to look it up.
Yeah, something that you could possibly do is just go to Google or a search engine and type in how many grams of carbohydrates in blank, and then it should tell you.
Right.
And if it's got, you know, more than a couple carbs, then you'll know that's probably something to avoid. But generally, like dairy products, as long as they don't have any sugar added, meat, green leafy vegetables, any types of green vegetables typically are low in carbs. And so, yeah, interesting. And the other question they had was, hadn't lost any weight for the past 2 weeks, started intermittent fasting, low carb, and portion control. I guess I would just kind of wonder, maybe there were some foods in there that weren't low carb that maybe would have thrown that off. So, which might be why hasn't lost any weight. So. And then one other thing is, can you drink water during intermittent fasting? You talked about this recently, how when you fast, like I tried that last week, I didn't have any food or water for a day. And you said the benefits of not drinking water during the fast are a lot better, right?
Yeah, you know, the rule is an empty stomach. When you have an empty stomach, then you go into anabolic mode. And the anabolic metabolism is the rebuilding and repairing and cleansing, and all the good stuff happens when your stomach is empty. So people who are sipping water all day long are not getting all the benefits that they could if they had an empty stomach the whole time. So, but it's not that you have to entirely go without water and be thirsty necessarily. But if you drink a large glass of water once or twice a day, then, you know, you're going to keep up on your water and you're not going to get dehydrated. And you'll still have an empty stomach most of the time, because water empties out of the stomach very quickly.
All right. Well, we are getting close to a full hour here. And for the sake of time, I think I'm going to pick one more. We had quite a few left. So what should we do here? All right, Curtis. I'm currently taking Jardiance, 25 milligrams per day. Is it still okay to take Synachroma as a supplement with that?
Absolutely, yes. In fact, Synachroma would be a great one to take with Jardiance, because the Synachroma has vitamin D, which makes your receptors for glucose work better. Vitamin D is not a vitamin, it's actually a hormone. We often think of it as a vitamin, but it's kind of the opposite of what cortisol does. Cortisol is a steroid hormone that makes you resistant to insulin. Vitamin D is a steroid hormone that makes you sensitive to insulin. So because of that, the Jardiance will work better, and Jardiance doesn't tend to cause any hypoglycemia. So those are no problem at all. You can take them together.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, this has been a fun call. Good to have the whole team here with us. So thanks everybody for hopping on and sharing your journey. We might have to do this again in a couple of weeks after we finish our 30-day challenge here and see who ended up as the winner. So great stuff. And so, yeah.
You don't even have to ask, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone's pretty confident here. And I wanted to say too, Nick mentioned he's the data nerd and Eric's the web geek. Like, those are terms of endearment, you know, those are not derogatory in any way. And I put those on the back of our new t-shirts that we got. Kevin, you got one to show us? Secret Projects, Kevin, number 32. There we go. So that was fun. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you guys in future calls. Thanks, Dr. Saunders, as always. You're awesome. And we'll see you next time. Take care. God bless.
Bye.
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 Bye.